All right, well, let's start with this big announcement by Airbus. Everybody there, Christine Fréchette, they always show up for the good announcements, eh? Mark Carney, lots of speeches, apparently biggest ever order in Canada's aerospace history. How big a deal is this?
It's huge. It is massive. It's very important. It's something we desperately needed here in Montreal. It sends a very positive message. Look, the Quebec government so far has, some people will say sunk in, I'll say invested $2.1 billion into this project.
Yeah.
And it's at a point where even on the Airbus books, it does not appear. Our contribution, our investment does not appear. Why, Sue? Because currently it is worth zero because the Airbus 220 project, the program as it's called, is not profitable yet.
Right.
So this does not get our head above water in terms of profitability, but it is a very, very encouraging sign. Now, of course, there are going to be questions, and time will tell. First of all, will we be able to deliver these 150 Airbus 220s on schedule? Because there have been questions raised about that. Two, the current geopolitical environment. As we know, obviously we are impacted by the war in Iran, but that also has really impacted, amongst other places, Asia, and more so even than here. And so Air Asia, who's buying these jets, has had to reduce the number of flights. They've had to raise their prices. That's worldwide, of course. But you got to hope that things will calm down, as they seem to be heading in that direction with the war in Iran, but we don't know. And something interesting to add to that, Air Asia is scheduled to open a new hub in Bahrain in June.
Right.
So, you got to think that if things don't get better in Iran, in the conflict with the U.S., that could be in play and that could have an impact. But overall, you got to say it's great news.
Yeah.
And for Mark Carney, notwithstanding the Honda plant potential closure that we're hearing about today in Ontario, this sends a double message that I find very interesting in terms of symbolism with the trade war with the U.S. Because one, Airbus is obviously, as we all know, a European company,
yeah.
rather. It's
French.
It's European based.
Yep.
It's French based, but it has interest across Europe as well. And so, as we know, Prime Minister, there's no coincidence in this announcement with Airbus. I think it fits in perfectly with Mark Carney's coming much closer, bringing Canada much closer to Europe, both economically and geopolitically. And also the fact that these jets are being sold to an Asian company. And so that is also a signal that we're diversifying our markets, diversifying our trade. And so let's hope also that it sends a positive signal for Montreal with the upcoming decision on the NATO Defense Bank.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also, a little bit of your cynicism, I'm wondering too, because I can remember, the C series and the problems that the Challenger and all the problems that the much lauded airplanes of our past have had, Bombardier. But my understanding though is that these deals are, once they're signed, pretty hard to get out of.
They're hard to get out of. There are tight schedules, rigorous schedules, and but the good thing about this, yes, there is a checkered past, but that was when it was just Bombardier, right? Now we're talking about Airbus. So let's say, for example,
they've got deep pockets.
They have deep pockets, but they can also transfer production or in part elsewhere if there's a problem here. It's not like they only have Mirabel.
Right.
Now, obviously,
we don't want them to do that, David.
No, you don't. And I hope, and of course not, but I'm just saying, You're talking about one of the two biggest plane manufacturers in the world now. That's the good thing about being in business with Airbus. I'm talking from the Quebec government and the federal government's point of view. And so Airbus is a multinational. They have several production hubs around the world. And so if there would be a problem, now there have been, but we are going to hope they can ramp it up. Obviously, I don't think Airbus would have signed this deal and made this big announcement if they don't think they can do it. And so we're going to hope for the best and keep a very optimistic attitude for now. Absolutely.
Okay. Also, I mean, it is supposedly a really distinctive Canadian plane, you know. So
it is.
I don't think it'd be just like, guys in Nantes, like we're going to start making the A220 now. So
no, obviously, so, but the supply chains are around the world as well. You don't planes aren't all built like cars. It's like anything major in manufacturing. It's not everything that is manufactured here in Quebec. And so, yes, there are some supply chain issues. Yes, there's geopolitical instability, but the fact that there is this announcement and it's moving forward shows, and we should see it as a positive, and we're hoping for the best, obviously, but it shows that there is confidence in Mirabel, in our hub, our manufacturing hub in aerospace. And again, it sends a huge signal for what Canada, what the federal government is trying to do in diversifying our economy.
All right, let's turn to Christine Fréchette. She was there at the announcement today, trying to desperately rebrand the CAQ with her winning personality and a legislation which she's throwing around. But the opposition says, no, we are not going to stand for that.
Yeah, well, let's just say, the 3-week honeymoon is over, and reality is set in. And so question period today was all about the last 8 years of the Legault government and her role in the last 4 years. And that's what the opposition parties are going to do. Now, she's trying to fight back, but it's very hard to see a real change, because the last 3 weeks, I got the sense, and I was saying this to Aaron several times, I thought she was doing a great job, trying to change the message, sending, a different type of vision that was really different from the Legault years.
Definitely.
But the problem is she's back in Quebec City, and her first bill out of the box is renewing the notwithstanding clause for Bill 96, which isn't up for another year. Clearly not a priority. Clearly not something Quebecers are asking for. Her second bill, it's an important one, for sure. It's the Gabi Renault law, inspired by Claire law, which will allow women to check criminal records of their potential partners or actual partners. And it's a very important bill for sure. And the third bill out of the gate is going to be adding 2 seats for the upcoming election to the electoral map, because it's a Supreme Court decision and everything that transpired from it. But so that has nothing. All these bills don't connect with the priorities of Quebecers, and so. The problem now is that while she's trying to mollify the nationalist wing of her own party, and she still has yet to make a formal decision on Simon-Jean Barret's constitution, which is in trouble, and now she's going to have to defend every day and for the next weeks, because not only she's going to have question period, but now we're starting the budget adoption process. So we're going to be in committee day after day for the next 2-3 weeks. So you're going to have all the opposition parties drilling Christine Fréchette, all her cabinet ministers, on the past, and she's going to be put on the defensive and what really has changed. So it's going to be very hard for her to change the message, and especially that she has basically 5 weeks to try to put money back in the pockets of Quebecers, not in a year, not in 2 years, now. And every time she will bring this up, the question will be, well, why didn't you do it before?
Mm-hmm.
And remember,
exactly.
and Kamala
Harris
brought us
here.
Yeah, Kamala Harris had the same problem. Remember during the presidential campaign against when she couldn't ask the simple question, "What would you do differently than Joe Biden?" And that question, she has not been able to clearly distance herself from François Legault yet, and that's a big issue for her.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. David, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.